gracias por la oportunidad. Es un honor para todos tener este espacio con usted. Quisiera poder comenzar hablándote sobre, hay una producción que la verdad es una de mis favoritas, que yo siempre se lo he dicho a Andrés, que es Accident Man. Y bueno, también está la de, como dicen, Esquina Roja. Quisiera preguntarte primero cómo es trabajar muy bien en acción y también su experiencia en esos roles.
Going early in your career,
I have no idea what he just said.
No, don't worry.
I have no idea what he said. Yeah.
I'm here for the help. Don't worry.
Okay. Cool.
Going early in your career, there is a movie that Jhon really loves that is Accident Man. So, yes, tell us about the experience. And in fact, you're going to talk early. There are a lot of interesting movies. One of my favorites, in fact, is Big Showdown in Little Tokyo. Tell us about, those beginnings, man, in your career. Accident Man, these movies.
Yeah, I mean, I started out, just because of my love for martial arts. That's what drove me into doing stunts. I wanted to make a career or be able to make money and also still be committed or kind of entertain what my love was. And the martial arts and basically getting involved in stunt work was kind of the perfect scenario. I studied math in college, and I worked for a while, 9-to-5 world, and I was bored shitless. So I knew that I wanted to find something that I could actually embrace, both physically as well as creatively. And, kind of part of that journey was stunts. And so Showdown in Little Tokyo, it was an honor and, obviously God rest his soul, but to work with Brandon Lee, really, really nice and very hardworking gentleman. And, a very, very unfortunate loss for us because I think he was a very, very, good actor that would have become a great actor, if time and if the accident had not happened. I'm sure of that. Accident Man was a friend of mine who was the director, Jesse. He asked me to, I wasn't busy, so he wanted to see if I would play that little role. We're talking about the Scott Accident Man that was recently, right? Where I play the swords master, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Yeah. That was fun.
I will ask Jhon. Jhon, ¿es el Accident Man donde él interpreta al de las espadas?
Sí, esa. No es la de Jesse.
Okay.
Jesse B. Johnson.
Yes. Sorry for that Accident Man.
That was a few years ago. That was with Jesse Armstrong, I believe. That was the director. And he just asked me to do that role with Amy Johnson playing her swordmaster. We shot it in California. It was during a time that I was in between projects. I was back in LA. He called me and I said, "Okay, quiet. Yeah, sure. I'd love to do it." It was fun, and it was kind of fun to be back into the sensei role, which I've done a couple of times too. I did a Bollywood film called Chandni Chowk to China, where I was the same. I was kind of like the kung fu teacher for Akshay Kumar, and then I had it was a lot of fun. It was also very hard work because I actually had to learn to speak Hindi phonetically. And Nikhil Advani, the director of the film, came up to me one day and he goes, "Rajasen, you have the second most dialogue of anyone in the film." And I'm going, "Wow, thanks, Nikhil. I don't speak Hindi, but yeah, thank you."
Es que tú lo de Red Corner simplemente que te diga algo, que tú te mueres si no sabes algo de ese proyecto que te fascina.
Bueno, sí, Red Corner y si podemos American Kickboxer. Es que soy muy bueno.
Before we let our friend Cesar do his question, it's because Jhon told me more projects and I don't add it, so I feel bad. Sorry, Jhon. Man, he really loves Red Corner and American Kickboxer. Some little words about it.
Wow. Wow, that's a long time. Yeah, American Kickboxer was South Africa. That was one of my first projects. I helped to do some of the fight choreography on that, played a small character on that. It was fun. It was my first time to South Africa. I look at these projects like whenever I get onto a film. Obviously, in the earlier stages, everything is about just okay, whatever I can to get myself noticed, and also to make a bit of cash and to establish a reputation and a living. So some of the movies like American Kickboxer or even X-Men, they're not like the Hollywood blockbusters. They're more independent and smaller budget films. But they were fun in their own way. For me, American Kickboxer reminds me of the time that basically when I was there in South Africa, it was pivotal because that was when Nelson Mandela was being released from prison. So that was a very, very important time, and I know whatever you're going to ask me, like I'll be straight up honest with you. Obviously you guys know I'm an older guy. I'm an old fart. So my philosophy and also my attention to certain details will skew sometimes outside of film or just action, but actually reflect on the general world, the general what's going on in the world at the time. So I remember that as being a very, very I felt very, very honored that I was walking one day buying a book at a bookstore in Johannesburg, in Joburg, and I was walking out and I hear down the street all of a sudden like these sounds of like boom, boom, oh, 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 and I look and there's all all the South Africans with staffs and they're marching through the streets, and I'm kind of thinking, oh shit, I'm this American guy. I don't know what's going on. Is this a riot or whatever? And as I start getting closer, I just kind of like calmed down. I'm not, I have to walk that way, but I just kind of stood to the side and just observed very respectfully. And as I'm looking at them and looking closely at the faces, it wasn't something to fear. It was actually joy. It was actually pride. And it was later that I actually did realize that, next week, Nelson Mandela is going to be released by Frederick de Klerk. So it was a really, really, so as they're passing, I felt that energy. I felt that kind of almost like unified energy of pride, of release, of vindication from, for one of their own leaders.
Wow, what an answer. And you maybe say that you are all fan, but I will translate a phrase from Colombia. You are strong as an oak. We say that when the old people, you look strong as an oak.
Well,
César,
thank you.
No, César, porfa, te quiero oír.
Bueno, yo ayer vi una película que se llama Vampires the Turning, que aquí en México hicieron Vampiros 3 el final. Yo vi ayer esta película porque si ya de por sí los vampiros son fascinantes por ellos mismos, ahora un vampiro que sabe artes marciales, pues ya está a otro nivel. Entonces quiero preguntarle, ¿qué elementos tomó para poder hacer a su personaje?
Y César, rescatar algo, ¿no? Que chévere porque ya tenemos bastante gente de la saga, ¿no? Y él hace parte de una saga muy buena, ¿no? Que es la de vampiros. Okay, that's a great question from César. He saw Vampires the Turning, and it's great because we had people from that saga here, but you play the coolest vampire, man, because it's not only a vampire but knows martial arts. So yeah, how do you prepare for this crazy role and this great saga, man? We got people from that saga, and it's great to have somebody from the Turning.
That was a long time ago. I mean, the martial arts aspect was, already that was not a big reach for me because of my background. In terms of the character, I just kind of I talked to the director Marty, and when I'm acting as well, I try to as much as possible. And I think every actor who comes into a role does the same thing or does a similar aspect. Is basically, okay, how do I present something interesting, or how do I make it so that there's something internally that's real that when I perform this character, even if it's a fantasy, even if it's a silly vampire film, that I can play and develop and help the story along. So that's how I approach, that particular character, and pretty much all the acting jobs that I am fortunate enough to get. Like, when I did Black Dynamite, that was a totally a spoof of, kind of like 70s blaxploitation, but it was also, they wanted to shoot everything inside the confines of what happened in 1970s. And during that time, in the Shaw Brothers Kung Fu era, there was the Bai Mei, so it was done by my a good friend, Gordon Liu, when he did the Kill Bill, when he played Uma Thurman's sensei or
Liu Bai.
Yeah, or Bai Mei. So
Bai Mei, sorry.
In Black Dynamite, I just asked the makeup artist. I said, "Hey, can do you have any white eyebrows? Do you have extensions white? I do a goatee." And they go, "Oh, wow, great. Okay, fine." And so I made it a bit of a spoof for that character for the fiendish Dr. Wu. And I think, as an actor, you try to see what the script or what the story, what the director wants to say, or where the story is going, and you try to add or to help or to offer ideas. And sometimes the answer in those ideas is no, which is fine. But I think the job of us, and also as a stunt coordinator or a fight coordinator or designing action, same thing. For the two Dune films, it's the same thing. I have so much respect for Denis Villeneuve. He's such a brilliant director, and so I look at even all the battle sequences or the fight sequences. I don't look at as telling action. I look at him and I go, what do you want to say about this fight? What is it that should be interesting about this? What's the character? What are the subtle underlayers, the undertones? And then I try to meld action into that. And I think that makes it very, very interesting. And I think, hopefully, all films, I hope, in terms of action is going to advance, so that's not action just for action's sake or cool moves. It's actually action helps to further tell the story of that character or those characters in the struggle in that moment, or give moments of like perfect imperfection, of struggle, of a slip, of a fall, and it shows to the audience watching it, shows a bit of humanity, shows a bit of like, oh, it's not perfectly choreographed. It's there's believability. And I think for me, when I play a role or when I do action design behind camera, it's about, okay, story is most important. It's not how much action I can do. It's not how fancy I can make it. It's actually what can I do to help tell the story? Because at the end of the day, if you can get people to really like the action because it's also really like the characters as they do it, then you're serving a greater purpose.
Beautiful. And before I let my friend Jhon ask, and sorry if I say Limubai, but I need to say something. I've watched the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon sequel. I feel sad because I really love that movie. And sometimes people, oh no, what about sequel? I always think this this fact. If that movie was called with another name, I think we'll get the attention that deserves, because it's a really great movie. Yes, people always was, oh no, I don't want to watch a sequel, but no, it's a great movie by itself. And I needed to say it because it's one of my favorite. I love the Gucha and action movies, and I love it. And I needed to say that, and I let Cesar,
continue.
No, thank you. I was really honored because that I agree. If it was called something else other than Crouching Tiger or Hidden Dragon 2, because the first one was such a groundbreaking film because it won Academy Awards, and obviously the character development as well as the martial arts. That's a perfect element of blend of beautiful story, a love story, sacrifice, and human hubris with the younger couple, with Zhang Ziyi and Zhang Ze, those two characters as lovers, and then the older couple with Michelle Yeoh and the Li Mubai character of Chow Yun-fat. I mean, they were two older people that could not fall in love because of honor towards him, towards his brother, and for her, that brother, that Wuxia brother, was also her lover, or her mate at one point in time, and so they were honoring that relationship. And I thought it was a great juxtaposition. We have two younger people that just want to get together, and kind of the freedom and the excitement, and also the kind of the damage that it can cause, and the two older people that were trying to guide the young woman who's such a protege of the sword, and how much damage that eventually cost. So it was a beautiful story of love and loss with martial arts, with Master Yuan Wuping, which I was honored to do Green Destiny, the sequel, because Yuan Wuping told me once I got to New Zealand, he goes, "Yeah, I always wanted you for Iron Crow," and for me, it was like a bucket list item to be wanted to play this character by the seminal master of martial arts choreography from Hong Kong and Chinese cinema. So that was a big deal for me.
Segunda pregunta es, basado en su experiencia, ¿cuál sería la clave para lograr una convincente entre el género de artes de los cinematográficos?
Knowing your talent and martial arts, what will be like the perfect formula for the fusion of genres? Like, yes, martial arts, but drama, comedy, I don't know, sci-fi. What is the formula, man?
You ask me a formula, or what is my experience with it? Because I can say...
Or experience, man.
Yeah.
We need to talk. You are the master.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, being able, I'm really honored that I've been able to do both Dune Part 1 and Part 2 with Denis Villeneuve. And so there, and then also too, I did, because Chad Stahelski is a good friend, I did John Wick Part 3, which is, I got the axe in the head. And that's pure action, pure action for action's sake, for the beauty, the unbelievability, and intense violence of what that becomes art. That is the John Wick world. And which I have another project coming out, which is the Continental. And that's going to be on I believe, Peacock or whatever. It's set in the world of John Wick, about the hotel. So there's there's many different facets. You can go over the top fantasy, mythological action that is almost unbelievable. And so you can take that step further and become very, very bloodthirsty. Or you can go, like sometimes, like the Asian cinema, like one that comes to mind is the City of Violence, the Korean film. That is so beautiful, the ballet, but yet the lethality, the cuts, the choreography in action, I hope helps to tell the story, or helps to promote what the world is, what the vibe is, And for me, the perfect blend, at least in my personal experience, for drama with action, with I think is going to be Dune, and Dune Part 2 especially, because there's a world that's being expressed, and it's completely new to most people if they haven't read the Dune book, that Denis has masterfully kind of like explained in a short amount of time. There's no, like, if you go back to watching Dune Part 1, I know some people, would say like they didn't get it, or they go, it's kind of slow at certain points. That's because there's so many layers of subtlety. There's so much information that's being told without having it being in dialogue. And so even with the action, I had hoped to try and mimic what Denis was doing with his scenes when he was establishing that world, the fight action, the backgrounds, the different styles of the Atreides, of the Sardaukar, of the Harkonnen. They all come from different worlds. They all are different types of people. So they have to their way of promulgating violence, their way of killing would be different because they come from different philosophies in different worlds. Some the Atreides were honorable, but yet very, very formulaic, very, very structured, almost like the Balintawak style of Kali. The Sardaukar were the Emperor's guards. They were samurai. They didn't mind dying. That's what they were. Their sense of honor and duty was that they will expire for the Emperor. And the Harkonnens are creatures of just sensuality, of incredible violence. And so, their basis of movement are kind of based on maybe Mongolians. They have their own order, but in essence, the violence that they will promote is actually to also psychologically do the most damage to their captors or to their victims because they want to conquer. So, I think when you have a really, really great script and a really knowledgeable and artistic director, it both challenges you as for the designing the action, but it also inspires you. So I hope that's a long-winded answer.
No, and man, you're right. For me personally, Denis is my favorite director in this era. He's a genius. Yeah. César, excelente pregunta porque nos habló de Dune y de Continental, solo te diré eso. Jhon, ¿cómo vamos de tiempo?
Bueno, yo creo que hay que felicitarlo y bueno, que digan redes sociales, todo, sí, porque ya se aproxima, felicitarlo. Bravo,
bravo,
Roger.
Bravo.
Roger, hay que felicitarlo por Black Dynamite, a mí me encantó, a pesar de que a muchos no les gusta, a mí sí me encantó Shanghai Noon y probablemente Venom, pero hay que felicitarte.
No, tengo también que mencionar, Érase una vez en China y sí. César, no sé si alguna película.
Batman.
Yes. Roger, the time is running off. Before you tell your social media so people can follow you, we need to say it because there's a lot of movies. Jhon mentioned Black Dynamite. I had to tell you a secret. In a page called Rate Your Music, that movie is not only in the best of that year, but in the list of the best of history. I will show you the link. Of course, for your role and your work in Batman, in Venom, in Once Upon a Time, in China 4, that is a masterpiece. Yeah. Shanghai Noon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roger, the camera is yours. Tell your social media so people can follow you. But, Jhon, ¿la foto primero?
Sí, la foto.
But prefers a feature?
I actually really don't do that much in terms of social media, but I'm on Instagram as Roger Z Yuan. It's been a pleasure meeting you two. Best of luck, continued luck in the podcast, and thank you. Have a great Sunday. All right.
No, thanks to you.